Warning: 4 bathroom habits seniors do that increase stroke risk by 300%. Every 17 minutes, an older adult suffers a stroke right in their own bathroom, not while climbing the stairs, not under the midday sun, but in the most familiar place of all, the place you visit 6 to 8 times a day. Have you ever wondered why dizziness, lightheadedness after straining, or an unusually rapid heartbeat seem to happen so often in the bathroom? If I told you that there are 4 common habits people over 70 do every single day in the bathroom, habits that seem harmless but are quietly reprogramming your blood vessels to set the stage for a stroke, what would you do? Even more frightening, many doctors don't even mention them during routine checkups. Meet Patricia, a vibrant 72-year-old woman. She used to be a high school teacher, loved tending her garden, cooking her own meals, and taking morning walks. But one seemingly ordinary morning in her bathroom, something that felt completely harmless nearly took her life. What happened that morning?
Habit number 1. Straining hard during bowel movements. That morning, Patricia woke up as usual, drank a glass of warm water, and stepped into the bathroom, following the same routine she had repeated for decades. She sat down, felt a bit of discomfort in her abdomen, and began to strain. 10 minutes passed, then 15. "Come on," she muttered, trying to force her body to push out what her digestive system was stubbornly holding back. Does that sound familiar? Have you ever sat there with mounting frustration because your body refused to cooperate? What Patricia didn't realize was that this very habit, one that seemed so normal, was silently turning her body into a pressure cooker. Every time she strained, especially when constipated, she was unknowingly performing a medical maneuver called the Valsalva maneuver. Have you ever tried to pop your ears on an airplane by pinching your nose and exhaling forcefully? The Valsalva works similarly, but this time inside your chest, where blood pressure can spike in just seconds. According to research from NCBI, StatPearls, the Valsalva maneuver has 4 stages, at least 2 of which cause significant disruption to the circulatory system. When you strain hard, the pressure in your chest and head rises rapidly, sending your blood pressure skyrocketing from 130/80 to as high as 200/140 in an instant. Your brain, which relies on a steady blood flow, suddenly gets choked by the very pressure you created. Have you ever noticed that after straining you feel dizzy, your vision blurs, or you get that floating sensation as if you might faint? That's your central nervous system sending you a warning. Unfortunately, most seniors dismiss it as just a bit tired, poor digestion, or just old age. Patricia thought the same until that morning when she strained once more and the whole room began to spin. Her head lightly hit the wall, her heart pounded, her vision blurred, and it took her nearly 5 minutes before she could stand up again. She had just experienced a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke, caused by a sudden spike in blood pressure during a bowel movement. This is not uncommon. A study from the University of Michigan once documented cases of death from performing the Valsalva maneuver on the toilet, calling it commode cardia, dying while straining hard. It sounds terrifying, but it's entirely preventable. So, how can you avoid what Patricia went through? First, pay attention to how long you sit. If it's been more than 5 minutes and nothing happens, don't force it. Get up, walk around, drink some warm water, and try again later. Second, add natural fiber and magnesium to your diet, 2 nutrients that nearly 80% of older adults are deficient in, according to recent medical reports. And finally, learn to relax rather than force. Your body doesn't need you to prove anything by straining. It needs support, not punishment. Now Patricia only sits for a maximum of 4 minutes. She uses a small footstool to put her body in a more natural position, and she always drinks at least 1.5 liters of water a day. Her constipation has improved dramatically, but more importantly, those dangerous dizzy spells after her morning bathroom visits are gone. Have you ever felt your heart racing abnormally fast after straining? Have you ever been so lightheaded you had to grab the wall just to keep your balance? If so, you've experienced exactly what Patricia went through, but that's only the tip of the iceberg, because even if you strain gently, there's another habit, one many people see as relaxing, that is actually pushing you faster toward a stroke. Can you guess what it is?
Habit number 2, taking showers that are too hot. For decades, Patricia had a ritual she couldn't give up: long, steaming hot showers. For her, it was the most relaxing part of the day. On chilly mornings in her suburban home, the warm water felt like a gentle embrace, almost like a personal steam bath. Do you feel the same way? Have you ever turned the faucet all the way to the right, letting the steam fog up the mirror while you sink into that feeling of relief? But that sense of relaxation deceived Patricia, and it might be deceiving you too. For older adults, the body no longer responds to temperature the way it once did. When you step into water at 43 degrees Celsius, about 109 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to brew tea, your blood vessels immediately dilate. Imagine your entire circulatory system as a network of pipes. When they suddenly open wide, the pressure inside drops. What happens if your brain doesn't get enough blood for just a few minutes? Exactly. You start to feel dizzy, your vision blurs, and your heart races as if you've just run a sprint. That's when the brain, which is highly particular about its oxygen supply, starts reacting to the lack of blood and oxygen. And in blood vessels already weakened by age, this is the perfect recipe for a stroke to strike right in the shower. Patricia used to think she was just a bit tired after bathing, until one morning, 3 months ago, she was standing under a billowing cloud of hot steam. Suddenly, the room spun. Her knees buckled and she grabbed the safety bar for support. A wave of heat rushed over her, her heart pounded, and nausea set in. She sank to the bathroom floor, too dizzy to stand for 10 minutes. Have you ever experienced something similar, only you never thought it was dangerous? According to Harvard Health, bathing in water hotter than 104 degrees Fahrenheit, around 40 degrees Celsius, can cause dangerous drops in blood pressure in seniors. When blood vessels expand so suddenly, the body loses its ability to maintain stable pressure, especially in those with a history of high blood pressure, poor brain circulation, or who are taking heart medications. Do you take blood pressure medicine? Have you ever felt your heart race or nausea hit after a shower? Those signs are not normal tiredness, they're warnings. And the danger lies in the fact that this habit feels good, making it harder to recognize its harm. Like Patricia, many people believe steam leaves them feeling clean, refreshed, and lighter. But they don't realize that comfort comes with a price the brain cannot afford to pay every day. The solution is simple, and Patricia adopted it in the first week after her mini-stroke. She bought a water thermometer, kept her shower temperature below 38 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and shortened her shower time to under 10 minutes. At first it felt strange, but after just a few weeks, she noticed she was more alert, less fatigued, and no longer had a pounding heart after bathing. Have you ever felt the need to lean against the wall after stepping out of the shower? Have you seen your skin turn bright red, believing it was a sign of detox? If so, you might be standing closer to a stroke than you realize. But what if simply standing up from the toilet was enough to make you fall? Habit number 3, standing up too quickly. That morning, Patricia had been sitting on the toilet for about 8 minutes. She'd had a restless night, and her constipation made the morning feel more stressful than ever. Frustrated because she was running late for church, she jumped up quickly, just like she had so many times before, and headed toward the sink. But after only 2 steps, her vision went dark, her legs gave out, and then she fell straight backward. The impact happened in an instant. Her head struck the porcelain tank with a sharp crack, loud enough for the neighbors to hear through the wall. Patricia was unconscious for 3 minutes, lying motionless in a pool of blood, unaware of what had just happened. Have you ever stood up quickly from the toilet and felt like all the blood had drained from your head? Have you ever been so dizzy you had to grab whatever was closest just to stay upright? That is not a normal sign of aging. It's your body's blood pressure regulation system reacting too slowly to a sudden change in position, a medical condition known as orthostatic hypotension. When you're seated, gravity pulls blood down into your legs. But when you stand up too fast, your heart needs a few seconds to speed up and push blood back to your brain. For younger people, this adjustment happens almost instantly, but for older adults, especially those who have had a stroke or are on heart medications, the cardiovascular system is no longer as quick or responsive. A study from PubMed found that people who have suffered a stroke have a much weaker ability to regulate blood pressure compared to healthy individuals. This means they're at higher risk of falling, hitting their head, breaking bones, or even having a full-blown stroke, all from standing up the wrong way. Are you on blood pressure medication, or have you ever felt off balance when changing positions? When Patricia was admitted to the hospital, the doctor measured her blood pressure with alarming results. From 135/80 while sitting, it plummeted to 85/50 within seconds of standing. This drop was enough to cut off blood flow to her brain, causing her to faint and nearly suffer permanent brain damage. Fortunately, the fall didn't cause bleeding, but the deep bruise to her tailbone meant she couldn't sit normally for weeks. The solution her cardiologist gave her sounded simple, but restored her confidence and safety. They called it the 3-step process. After using the toilet, sit still for another 30 seconds to let your circulation stabilize. Then, gently scoot to the edge of the seat and remain there for 15 more seconds. Finally, stand up slowly, holding onto a grab bar if possible, and wait 10 seconds before walking. The entire process takes less than 2 minutes, but it can prevent a life-changing injury that could happen in a single, irreversible fall. Now, Patricia never rushes to stand anymore. She's installed grab bars anywhere there's a risk of slipping, and she says, "I've learned to respect my body instead of demanding it obey me instantly." What about you? Are you ordering your 75-year-old heart to perform like that of a 30-year-old every time you spring to your feet? And if that fall happened late at night, in the dark, with no one around, what would happen then?
Habit number 4. Rushing at night. At exactly 2:17 a.m., Patricia woke with an urgent need to use the bathroom. In the pitch-dark room, she pushed her blanket aside, sat up quickly, and hurried down the hallway as she had done countless times before. But this time, just a few steps away from the bathroom, she froze. A sudden, crushing headache exploded behind her eyes, as if a taut string inside her head was about to snap. She clutched the doorframe, doubled over, as her left arm began to tingle and waves of black spots flickered across her vision. Have you ever woken in the middle of the night, felt lightheaded, yet kept walking just to reach the toilet? That is the exact moment many older adults never walk away from. Cardiologists call the hours between midnight and 6 a.m. the danger window, because during this time, the body is dehydrated, blood pressure fluctuates sharply, and certain medications reach their peak concentration. If you take blood pressure medicine, diuretics, or sleeping pills, every middle-of-the-night trip to the bathroom is a cardiovascular challenge your heart must struggle to overcome. Here's why. While you sleep, your body loses water through sweat and breathing. Your blood becomes thicker, like syrup. The moment you spring up, your heart has to pump that thick blood to your brain. But the blood is dense, your vessels are constricted, your blood pressure is still unstable, and suddenly the pressure spikes. An acute hypertensive crisis can occur, just like with Patricia, whose blood pressure was recorded at 210 by 120 right there in her hallway, just minutes before she could have suffered a full-blown stroke. Do you notice that you often rush to the bathroom at night without turning on the light, without drinking water, and without pausing for a few seconds before standing? Maybe you don't want to wake your family, or you just want to get back to bed as quickly as possible. But it only takes one misstep, one ill-timed change in blood pressure to ensure you never make it back at all. After her near-death experience in the dark, Patricia created a new night ritual. Now she keeps a large bottle of water by her bed, drinking about 150 milliliters before getting up to help thin her blood and stabilize her pressure. She never springs out of bed anymore. Instead, she sits on the edge for 60 seconds, breathing steadily. When she stands, she carries a small flashlight and walks slowly, with intentional pauses along the way. She also adjusted her medication schedule, under her doctor's guidance, to prevent peak effects from hitting in the middle of the night. A study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that combining gradual posture changes with nighttime hydration can reduce the risk of nocturnal strokes in seniors by up to 75%. Strangely, very few doctors mention this to their patients. And so many continue to rise in the darkness, carrying a fragile heart and thickened blood, unaware they are playing a game of life or death roulette. Have you ever wondered, if next time you wake at 2 a.m. but your body fails to respond, who would find you? How many hours later? And by then, would it still be in time? 3 months after her near-death experience in the dark, Patricia's life had completely changed. Not because of medication or surgery, but thanks to small, disciplined adjustments. She no longer felt fear every time she stepped into the bathroom, no longer felt like each trip to the toilet was a life-or-death gamble. Instead, she moved with a slow, steady confidence, a confidence rebuilt through safe, intentional habits. In the morning, she started her day with a glass of warm water and natural fiber to keep her bowels moving gently, eliminating the need for forceful straining. She no longer showered in skin-scorching hot water. Instead, her thermometer was always checked carefully, keeping the temperature between 37–38 degrees Celsius or 98.6 to 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. She treated standing up as an art, slow, steady, with deliberate pauses. At night, everything was prepared before she went to sleep. Water by the bed, motion-activated lights, and her medication schedule adjusted to align with her body's natural rhythms. At her follow-up appointment, Dr. Martinez could hardly believe what he saw. Patricia's blood pressure was stable at 125 by 78, a level she hadn't reached in over a decade. But even more valuable than the numbers was the look in her eyes, no longer clouded with constant worry, but calm, assured, like someone who truly understood her body and had taken control of the risks that had once nearly claimed her life. Are you repeating one of the 4 habits Patricia once had? Have you ever considered that the bathroom, the most familiar place in your home, might be the most dangerous battleground for an older adult? If this story made you pause, if it reminded you of your mother, your father, or even yourself, please share this video. One simple click from you could save a life, whether it's someone you love or a stranger you've never met. And don't forget to subscribe, because we'll continue bringing you vital information your doctor should have told you long ago. For older adults, time does not wait. And in many cases, just one right habit can be enough to live many more healthy years.